Welcome back to the Girl Out of Order podcast. It is a beautiful day that I am recording this episode. It's sunshiny, it's cold, but I just feel so full of joy. And there's a reason because today's episode is so unusual, but exactly what we need. Today, I am welcoming an incredible guest, a ball of energy and positivity. And you're going to absolutely fall in love with her just like I did. So today on our podcast, we're welcoming Erin Nunweiler. She is, when I say she's energetic, I'm not kidding. I am so drawn to this woman's gorgeous, energetic presence. She is a joy-filled entrepreneur. She's a content creator. Oh, this girl creates content that is to die for. And she's a world traveler dedicated to spreading love and positivity. Boy, do we need that in this world right now. We need as much positivity as possible. And so I can't wait to bring her to you today. A little bit more about Erin. She is, she's a flight attendant with over 28 years, exploring the entire globe, embracing adventure and connection. She is the CEO of Spread More Love and Joy, which is a brand that is focused on uplifting others through inspiring content. Her content, like I said, is incredible. Creative workshops and vibrant self-expressive products. If you could see the products, well, you are going to see the products that she has created on our first sale. Erin is so passionate about creativity. She loves painting, hosting unforgettable events, and helping people reignite their own spark for life. Whether through Erin's daily adventures or just who she is, her mission is to help others say yes to life and have more fun living boldly. So I hope you will join me in welcoming to the Girl Out of Order podcast, the unbelievably effervescent Erin Nunweiler.
Hi, how are you? So great to be here, Christine.
Oh my gosh. As I told you right before before we hopped on, I was like, I've been so excited for this interview and I'm actually even grinning right now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I've got like at least the ache in my cheeks and all I've done is do the intro and then actually start talking to her. Oh my gosh. So Erin, I am so excited for our community to get to know you because your authenticity, your radical, beautiful self-acceptance is such a model. It's such a role model for women.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you.
So before we dive into your little bit of your backstory, if I were to ask you, who do you say you are? Who is Erin Nunweiler? How would you introduce yourself to our beautiful Girl Out of Order community?
Well, I am so grateful every day. I live life to the fullest every day, and I want to inspire others to do the same. And we're so grateful. I'm so grateful every day. And I hear a lot of people complaining. I'm like, you have nothing to complain about. We're so grateful. We have so many things in our health and so many things that when I hear people complaining, I don't understand. So
I love that. So you have a very long career as a flight attendant, right?
Yes, almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years. And I remember let me rewind a little bit before I go into the flight attendant because I just had a thought because I want people to understand where you and I got connected first. We actually had the opportunity to meet in Fiji, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is another one of my Fiji friends. And if you listen to the Girl Out of Order podcast, hopefully you have listened to past episodes. I just had Jeanette Lita on, who we also met in Fiji. But I remember in Fiji, I was going to be true confession. I was withering with the cleanse. I was just like, my energy was flagging. I was like listing in my seat and Erin's over there like, yes, let's go. And you just have so much, and I'm exaggerating to make a point, but your energy, there's a phrase that I've actually used in one of my own personal manifestos. My energy introduces me before I say a word. And my energy isn't even close to yours. So when you think about how you describe yourself, would you use the word energy as one of your top values?
Yes, for sure. Yes. Yes.
I love that. I love that. So we got to connect in Fiji, and I remember talking to you in the airport. I'm using air quotes for airport, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
landing strip, right? And you're just at the end. Sean and I are getting ready to go home. It was a wonderful trip, but we were like tired. Do you ever get tired?
Yeah, I'm like a firecracker. I give all the energy and then eventually I fizzle out. So, I give it and give it, but then I come to a point where I run out of energy and then I fizzle out like a firecracker. So, I'm burst of energy and then I sparkle and then I fizzle out a little.
Oh my gosh, that's a great visual. Although I've got to be honest, girl, I haven't seen you fizzle, but what's so cool is
Yes.
when you kind of come down though in that non-fizzle state, like there's such a deep wisdom in you. And so what I wanted to ask you, going back to the flight attendant part of your life, what do you love about being a flight attendant and what are the challenges?
Well, I get to fly. I love flying all over the world. It doesn't feel like a job. I get to go, I work, but then I land at a destination. Then I get to enjoy. Like I have a lot of years already, so I put the time in, with those smaller flights. But now that I'm more senior, I can hold like 2 day layovers where, it doesn't feel like work. That's why people don't leave. They stay like 50 years at this job,
Wow.
right? So I just go to work, I have fun, but I also meet so many people from all over the world and see how different people live. And I just find it really fascinating and interesting to meet those people and see how they live life and how grateful they are and the differences of how we live. So
Okay, so let's table the challenges part of that question because I something that you just said spiked an interest in me because when we started and you're talking about who you are, you're just like I just life is so beautiful and there's so much to be grateful about. Why would we complain? Do you think some of that mindset, that way of showing up in the world, has come from all that you've been able to see through your career?
yeah, probably. I think different experiences shape different people where I don't know if empathy and compassion is something you learn, but I just feel, we see so many things happening in the world and, um I see a lot of poverty in the world, like when I go to India, and that's why
Mm,
India, I love India. They're still smiling. They have nothing, but they're still wearing beautiful saris. And so,
mm.
how can people with nothing like smile and enjoy life when we have everything and we still complain? And that's why it's fascinating because so I think I learned that because life is so short and we have so much compared to so many people in the world, and sometimes we
Mm.
make it about ourselves, but look at that person. They're able to live in that little wooden hut and they have no toilet, but then we still complain. I'm like, we have nothing to complain about. So you
I
know
love what you said. Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited because I love when things all start when you're learning stuff and then they all start to collide and come together. Because I've been listening to Mel Robbins' book, her Let Them book, and I know we
yes.
kind of talked about that. And I was listening to the chap. She has two chapters on, I believe it's two chapters on comparison. I listen to audiobooks, so I don't know where the chapters beginning and end. But one of the things I have struggled with, especially in the last 12 months as I'm expanding my mission and business, is the ridiculous negative compare. I don't know if she called it negative comparison or positive comparison. I'm probably conflating the two, but the comparison where we look at other people's success or perceived success, right? Because social media can be a big fat lie
Mhm. Yep,
sometimes,
yep.
but we look at other people's blessings and we feel like, well, there's nothing left for me, or good for them. They're so lucky. My life sucks. But then she talks about flipping that and doing the opposite kind of comparison, which is what you're talking about when you look at how many people have so little, right, on paper, materialist goods, whatever, or even safety and security in places like India or
Mhm,
Somalia or,
mhm.
place, and they're smiling and they're joyful. And so it's like being, gratitude isn't about just, listing off all the things I'm thankful for my bed, my cat, my dog, my friends, but it's really it's a deeper thing. It's a deeper awareness. Don't you think that we really are blessed. And what we choose to focus on, that's what makes our state, how we show up in the world.
Yeah, yeah. And like I go through that too. Like, I look at, Instagram and the phone and oh, I wish I had what she had. But then that's just that little voice inside, like then I back it up and I go, wait a minute, I am blessed. I'm here in this life. I'm healthy. I have two arms and two legs. I mean, we know people that have no arms and no legs and they're living life to the fullest every day.
Mhm.
So if they can be happy and grateful and hike up mountains and get married and have children, then so can we. So then I back it up like, I may not have as much money as that one or, something or whatever, that big house. But then I go, wait a minute, I have my health.
Mhm.
I've got my husband. I've got my animals. I've got a job. And then I'm very grateful. So I focus on what I do have and not what I don't have, because you know what,
Mhm.
as hustlers, we can always get to that point of attaining a bigger house and doing that, but we have to put in the work. And sometimes people are complaining, but have they actually done the work? So slow and steady
Mhm.
wins the race. You have to keep going. And if I want the big house and I don't want to work or whatever, then I've got to put in that work to get there, and I can have it too. I can have what she's having. I just got to put in the work and decide that that's what I want to do. And actually, I'm happy for those people. I'm really happy. Like,
That's the
good for
key.
them. Like, good for
Yep.
them. Like, and then that jealousy or, all those feelings don't come in. I'm like, wow, good for them. I wish I had what they had. And how are they doing it? And how can I attain that as well? And then I try and model after those
Mhm.
people. So,
I
yeah.
love that. Okay, so Erin, you said so many golden nuggets there, but I want to like dive in right where you ended. It's like if we focus on envy, looking at what other people have. You and I just came back from the Dominican Republic. It would be very easy to live in envy based on where we stayed, right?
Right,
Am I
that's
right?
right,
Like I
yes.
have never seen material success and beauty, that place where we stayed in the Dominican Republic. It'd be very easy to be like, that just feels super unattainable. But I'm over there like, Lucy, I mean, that's
Yeah,
incredible. And she's was widowed at what, 36 years old with two little kids. I
mhm,
mean, we don't know what
mhm,
people's stories actually are. And so what we choose to focus on truly does, like Tony says, determine how we feel, right?
mhm,
And
yes.
so you are a master, Erin, at positive focus. And I want
Mhm.
you to receive that because
Thank
that's one
you,
thing we're
thank
working on, right? Yes,
yes,
thank you.
thank
Good.
you,
You are a master at positive focus. And that, I
thank you.
believe, and you can help me explain to our listeners, led you to form this incredible business called Spread More Love and Joy.
Yes, yes.
And so
Yeah.
tell us a little. First of all, if you're on YouTube, I'm standing up. I'm wearing one of her beautiful creations.
Yay,
Epic,
looks
badass,
amazing.
fabulous. She's
Yes, looks
bright.
amazing.
Ah,
Looks
she's bright. She's fun. She's colorful. I mean, if y'all know how much I love pink, this girl's pink puts mine to like, mine looks like muted compared to this. Oh, there it is. Yes, be
you.
you. So
Yeah.
tell our listeners, one, what Spread More Love and Joy is about, and two, you in your own words, what led you to form this beautiful business.
Well, spread more love and joy is about igniting that spark within. We all have that fun spark within us, and for some reason, I don't know, when we get older, if we suppress it or whatever, but people do want to have fun. And I think when we get older, we worry about what people think, like, oh, I'm a weirdo, I like squishmallows or whatever. Like, people think you have to be some way, but really,
Mm.
actually, they want to be authentic and they want to bring it out, but they're too scared. So by me having a brand, it's okay to be who you are, because
Mhm.
like, I never had kids. I like I also went through that as well. I didn't follow along as to what I should be doing. And then I thought, but why do we have to, should we be doing anything? Why can't we just be ourselves? And so I inspire and try to ignite that spark within others to keep living with joy and fun, and not that you
Mhm.
have to be serious and conform and life, like that all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I'll remember, so I recall back in March of 2024 at the Own Your, then it was called Own Your Worth conference that Lauren Lohav held in Vegas. And by the way, if you have any interest whatsoever in attending a virtual version of this year's, it's called Own It on March, what is it, 6th, 7th, and 6th and
Yes.
7th?
7, 8,
I'm
9.
7, 8, and 9. Thank
Yeah.
you. Shame on me. Okay. Let me know. Hit me up in my DMs because I have an amazing offer for you. But be that as it may, I remember in the VIP bags seeing all your spread more love and joy and thinking, I don't really understand what that means. And then as I've gotten to know you through our True Legacy Collective, our TLC Mastermind this year, it's been so evident to me the way that you move through life is
Mhm.
so authentic and and unique. And so when
Thank
people
you.
meet, yes, well, you're absolutely welcome. And at first I wasn't sure what to make of you. Through confession, like,
Yeah,
because
yeah, I know.
I mean, and that's okay. But what I want our listeners to hear is like when you meet somebody who's really different than you, or who has character qualities or an energy that you may not like understand, my invitation to you is get curious.
Right, right.
Get curious. Get to know them. Ask questions, because if I had just been like, I don't resonate with her energy, or I don't understand her energy, I would have missed this incredible gift that is you.
Yes, thank you, Christine.
And so I want to pivot now, because when people, if our listeners are listening, like, oh my gosh, this woman is relentlessly positive, like her life just must be easy peasy. And I can't relate to that because I've got all these struggles. So I don't, like, good for her, not for me. And what I want you to share, if you will, is some of your really intense struggles and challenges that you've had since, I think, around 2020, that have really brought you to your knees in some respects, but in more respects have helped you really rise more
Yes.
fully into who you are. So I'll let
Yeah.
you tell this story, but I think it's important that our listeners understand that the woman sitting here today is a product of a lot of intentional work, focus, and clarity.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So I've had many, many things happen in my life, and not to be a victim or whatever. I got divorced in 2011. I thought that was very hard. I saved my house. I ended up renting out rooms in order to keep my house. And then, the mandatory pause hit, and I was flying around the world. I wasn't laid off or anything, and so they laid off most of the airline staff, but I was still flying around the world, like London, India, with like full
Mhm,
planes. And at that time it was, I don't you're in the US and I'm in Canada, so it was a little different. So, the mandatory pause, it would stop and start, and like we thought it was getting better, and then they'd lock us down again, and then it would go again. So after a while, a lot of it didn't make sense because it was getting better. And then our government said, he mandated that everybody who wanted to leave the country or go on a plane, train, bus, or whatever, they had to have the COVID vaccine. And
mhm,
so from me traveling all around the world, I just was wondering, curious as to why he was bringing this in at that point when it's felt like things had gotten better and we had
mm,
passed that point. So I had a decision whereby I could go and get it, but then I was like, well, why would I have to go and get it? I've been working all along. I've been flying, flying to England and London, like I said, and other countries were doing things differently than what we were doing. And,
mhm,
for me, no, like everyone should be able to have a choice, but then I had to make that choice anyway. I said no. So,
mhm,
I lost my job for 9 months, and it wasn't that I could have just gone and got it, but then I thought, but it didn't feel right to me internally. Like I'm the one that has to live with myself, and
mhm,
and I was thinking about this question a lot, like you asking me this, and I think, the most important relationship that I have is the relationship I have with myself. yourself. Because,
Mm.
if you are if you don't listen to that internal voice inside, where, that higher power, then
Mm.
well, you have nothing really, because then you're not congruent with yourself, you're not living authentic, and then you've got to live with those decisions. So anyway, to make a long story short, I lost my job for 9 months. And so, at that point, people that were locked in their homes here in Canada that hadn't gone anywhere, they thought I was crazy. And at that point, my family didn't want anything to do with me and my husband, and said we were crazy and all of this. And, all these things have come out now. And, we don't need to go into that. But the thing is, I thought like divorce was hard, and like standing up for for bodily autonomy was the hardest thing that I ever had to do. But I was coming from my own perspective of seeing the world and seeing my job, and none of it made sense to me, especially in an aircraft. They cram everyone in, and so why are you cramming 300 people in a plane and then going to where the Omicron, the most deadliest virus, is? So just a few things didn't add up, and
Mhm.
that's my story. But
Can you
yeah,
pause for just one quick second? You think
yeah.
there's a couple really, really important points there,
Mm.
and I really wanna highlight them because, listeners, this is not a COVID versus not COVID. This is not
No,
a
no.
COVID conversation. This is an identity conversation. This is an autonomy conversation. This is a listening to your spirit, your body, your mind, and stepping into not stepping into, but staying in your integrity. And what I think is important for our listeners to hear is you made a decision that was aligned with
Mhm.
who you know you are and what you believed, and you lost so much. You suffered greatly financially, but employment wise. But the place I really want to dive into, if that's all right,
Yeah.
is the rejection by your loved ones. And
Yeah.
what, what it's good. It seems like a dumb question, but like, tell me how you reacted to that situation.
Well, I think in that time, I felt like I was living in a movie. Like, is this really happening? Like, so many things were happening. And then from one week to the next, from, bringing my family food and made meals, because, my other family member, she works in the airline as well, and she was laid off. And so I was bringing her family meals and stuff. And then from one week to the next, when the mandates were put in place, we just said, no, we didn't do that. And then we couldn't come. So then we were cut off, and then everyone unfriended everyone on Facebook. And it just in those moments, I remember it was just so heated, where like, you're crazy if you don't
Mm,
do this. And so yeah, the rejection is hard. I still haven't spoken to my sister. It's been 3.5 years. Luckily, I've been able to rekindle with my dad after 3.5 years. But I
mm,
mean, the rejection, yeah, I wanted to shoot myself in the backyard. Like, yeah, it was the horriblest time of my whole life. And I could have chose the other answer and just gone and done it, but then I wouldn't have been congruent with myself. And so,
mm,
like, I guess I chose this, and I had to lose my job, and I worked at Amazon. And all I did was I was working at Amazon at nights, because that was the only job I could get. They didn't require, they weren't mandated. So I worked at night, and all I did was cry. But at Amazon, nobody knew that I'd come from an airline, like a great life with 30 years of
mm.
seniority. And so, but they didn't know anything about me. So they loved me. That's where I got my love and connection from. They knew nothing
Ooh,
about me. And so, doing Tony Robbins and
mm,
what our basic needs are, the
yes,
reason why I was able to continue is because they loved me and treated
mm,
me like a queen, whereby a lot of those people are immigrants or from India, and they weren't even paying attention to all this stuff like everyone else was. So,
right,
like, because in their countries, in other countries, you had to eat. So it wasn't, the main focus wasn't on, you need to get this thing or else. So,
right,
so
right. So, okay. You said something really important, and I know we've talked about this on the podcast where Tony Robbins, you're a senior leader with Tony Robbins, which
Yes,
is
yes,
amazing. I'm so
yes.
thankful the organization has leaders like you. But when you alluded to the 6 human needs, which is certainty,
Yeah.
uncertainty or variety, significance, love and connection, growth and contribution. And Erin, what you said there was so important because you highlighted the fact that in this time where you were so distraught and had been rejected by the people whose love and connection you craved the most, you could have just, you know, huddled in a puddle and felt sorry for yourself, but you took action, got a job to provide for yourself, but it wasn't just marking time. You then went out and were the kind of woman that found love and connection in the most unlikely place, Amazon, for heaven's sakes. And so it's so powerful to me to hear you say, and I want our listeners to hear, like, in those moments where you feel rejected, in those moments where you standing for your principles and in your integrity is the reason why certain people or jobs or situations exit your life, you still have a choice. You
Yeah.
still get to decide how you're going to show up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you think that it was during this time that your spread more love and joy mission started to come about?
Yeah, because I had seen other people, in Canada and that are going that didn't have the tool that weren't so blessed to have as many tools that I had from Tony doing all the events at Tony Robbins. So I felt that I had a lot of tools in my toolbox and other people were going through this as well, coming through to this dilemma, losing their houses, selling their houses just to stay in their integrity with their bodily autonomy. And so I felt, with all the Tony teachings, like step up, now I am the voice.
Mhm.
I will lead, not follow. And like,
Mm.
step up. And so I have that ingrained in me whereby I am a leader. I need to step up and help these people because I have a big tool that I'm in. It just was a calling. I don't know. I don't know. You paused?
Yeah, you disappeared for a second and now you're pixelated. So I'm waiting for you to clear up. I hit pause.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know why you're so pixelated. Like you're really blurry all of a sudden. Hmm. Can you turn your camera off for a second and turn it back on? Oh, wait, there you are. There you
Okay.
are. Okay. So I'm gonna hit resume.
Yeah.
And I think you were talking about your Tony Robbins. What were
Yeah.
you saying?
Now I am the voice.
Yeah, just pick up wherever you feel like you left off and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, and so like I just saw a lot of other people suffering as well. And it was a
Mm.
challenging time for all of us whether
Right.
for all of us. So and so with all the tools in my toolbox from Tony Robbins and now I am the voice, I will lead not follow, step up. I really felt that because I had all those tools, I had to help
Mhm.
others in the community, that were facing losing their jobs, that did lose their jobs. So I really felt that I had to I don't know that I was called for this or what. I don't know. I mean, I didn't want this story. I just wanted to be left alone. Like, let me do me. Like, why do I have to do this? Like, so I
Mm.
just really stepped up and helped other people. And then I really saw a lot of suffering. I mean, I saw a lot of suffering before, but like then I saw a lot of suffering in my own backyard. And then I
Yeah.
had to tell people, try to get them out of the black hole because at that time people were so depressed and sad and couldn't believe it. And for some people life just didn't carry on. It got a
Mhm.
lot worse for them. And so I felt I really need to spread love and joy to them and have them focus on the good, even though a
Yeah.
lot of stuff was falling behind, like caving down behind them, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's interesting because and again, this isn't a COVID
No,
conversation,
no.
but what it is it's a conversation about who you choose to be in the face of loss and injustice. And we
That's
had
right.
we had situations in our family where this COVID situation and who chose to get vaccinated, who didn't, split our holidays. Like for years, we didn't have holidays with certain family members, and now it's all in the rearview mirror. Thank God. But what I love about your story, Erin, and this is, hear me, is that even after you had come out of this, even after you had launched Spread More Love and Joy, even after you'd gone to Lauren's Own Your Worth, as I sat next to you in Utah at one of our retreats called the True Voice,
Yeah.
you leaned over and you whispered to me, "I don't have a story." Do you remember that?
Uh-huh. No, I don't.
Oh, yes, because I said, "Everybody has a story. You have a story." And you're like, "No, no, no. I don't have a story. I don't have a story." And I remember thinking to myself, "Ooh, that got me excited," because I was mentoring at that time. So then I was like, "Oh, you say you don't have a story," which leads to me to believe you have an even deeper story than you know.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
And so you found your voice at True Voice.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you tell like the listeners, this isn't a COVID story. And some people are still at the point where they're not even open to listen to other people's story. They just said, "Oh, she, you know, killed my grandmother or is an anti-vaxxer or something like this," which I'm totally not. But some people are not even willing to listen to the story. But anyway, at that point at True Voice, like I felt like I wasn't myself, obviously, because I wasn't living my truth. Because meeting people, I couldn't just fit in because I was the one, like, with all that happening here and the discrimination and what happened with my job and my family. I didn't want to show my story of who I was because I joined this
Mm.
amazing TLC group with you and whatever. And I'm like, if they find out about me, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't want to be hated even more after the big pile of, hate that I'd already had. And so when I said I didn't have a story, probably I didn't want to confront that, which is,
Mm.
going to that Own Your Voice was the biggest thing for me to heal with you ladies and yourself, is support and love and nobody there judging. And, it's a safe space with Lauren, because even though that story, many people might not agree or whatever, it's not about agreeing. It's about releasing our story to heal from
Mhm.
it so we can carry on. And then, but I knew I was in a safe space with my TLC sisters, and thank you so much. And it brought me out to being me again, because you know what? You know my
Mm.
story now. If you don't agree, then that's fine. I've got it, released it for myself anyway. So now I don't have to keep in the story like I'm a horrible person because I didn't do this. Like, you know what I mean?
I do, and it's so interesting that you would say that, because one of the things that I say, and it's not my quote. I feel like it's Siri Lindley's quote, but or maybe it's Tony's. I'm not sure. But it's like, when you do change your story, you literally change your life. And it's not about, when I say change your story, I don't mean like go back and rewrite what happened in the past, but we get to reframe what it means. And it felt to me when I watched you pull that story out from storage, deep, deep storage. You didn't want to share the story because you were living in this spread more love and joy, and you were like positivity and wearing pink and bright and all that fun. But it's, if we aren't willing to own all of our story
Right.
and decide what it means, then I think we live a stunted life. And
Yeah.
what I saw happen with you and have been so blessed to bear witness to since that July True Voice event is, it's like unearthing the story that we're too afraid to tell and
Right.
releasing it into a safe place. It's like unleashes something else in us that was blocked because we were
Yes.
holding that so close. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes.
Was that your experience at True Voice? That once you released that, something changed or shifted in you?
Yeah, and for sure. And there came a point whereby, I tried to reach out to my family, my dad, and it was still going on where, and so there came a point to me where I was so in pain that I just said I have to save myself. Like I was
Mm,
drowning in the pain, and I knew I know I'm a good person, and just because I choose otherwise, other people, it's not just me choosing, other, and so I just said there comes a point where I have to release this because it's not serving me. It's not
mm,
serving me. I've
right.
done my best. I tried to reach out to my father, and it wasn't successful. And then it came a point, I think, at like 2.5 years, whereby I can't keep living with this pain anymore, because it's not who I am. I'm the joyful
Mhm,
Erin. Like, I'm joyful and fun, and I need those opinions of what people think of me to be released. Like, if you don't
right.
like me or whatever, then that's okay. And that's why I stand for those people that, you know, just because same with politically right now. If you like this or that, you're this or that. Well, no, you're not, because you haven't had a conversation with that person. And people
Mm,
thinking that they know something about people when they haven't asked them, and just assuming. This is where our society
mhm,
is going wrong. And that's why we're always arguing or being divided, which we don't have to be. Just like people who they are and listen to their story, and nobody's goes out there to deliberately try to hurt people. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and a couple things. Oh gosh, you keep
Uh,
dropping these wisdom bombs. I'm like, oh, which one do I pick? Which one do I go?
I
Where do I
know.
go? Okay, but what I love is, and again, just like this is not a COVID conversation, it's not a political conversation. What it is it's an identity and a love conversation. Because when it's in Girl Out of Order, let me just back up. In Girl Out of Order, we have 3 pillars. I don't know if you know this, Erin, but it's cultivating bravery to unearth your identity and step into your identity. It's inspiring boldness to live out that identity. And you do this so well with boldness, but not brashness, not just aggressiveness, but
No.
confidence. And then the last one is building bridges among all women, no matter what. I don't even need to fill in the blank. And so, one of the things I've watched you do so, so well is you step into your identity every single day. And you show up so congruent to who you are. And that person exudes love. And so,
Thank
whether
you.
somebody votes like
You.
you, whether somebody has a COVID perspective like you, whether somebody likes the colors you like, whether they like your energy or not, I don't know anybody who comes away from an interaction with Erin Nunweiler without feeling loved or elevated.
Yeah, thank you so much for those thank you. And because I have empathy to how others feel. Like, I see people
Hmm.
being mean to others, and I'm like, "Wait a minute. You don't know what their story is. So
Right.
why are you talking smack about them? Like, maybe we don't know what she's gone through, or them. And you know what? They're just a human like anyone else, regardless of what they vote or what they think or whatever, right? Because who would want to feel like that? And I always put myself in someone else's shoes. Like, that's not very nice to treat somebody like that. And so there's that quote by Mary Angelou, like, they'll never remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And
Right.
so, if somebody's going to treat me whatever, I'm going to remember you didn't make me feel so nice. And when I'm
Right.
with somebody, I don't want to be that. I don't want to leave. I want to be the joyful person in the world. Caring for somebody, because,
I do. And I have a real practical question in that regard. Because what I want our listeners to hear is like, this is not a woman who's had it easy. She's had a really tough go of things and she's had a lot of loss. And yet she's committed to relentless positivity and spreading more love and joy. So what I want you to tell us, because we need practical tips. Like this isn't just like, oh, that's all nice for Erin. Again, not for me. Like when you get up, like are there certain rituals or routines or tools that you use on a day-to-day basis to maintain your positivity? Like how do you maintain this beautiful mindset in spite of circumstances that maybe would take some of the rest of us down?
Uh-huh. And I just want to back up there. Like, so you say that I have gone through a lot. Like, for me, no, I haven't. I don't feel I've gone, sure, it was very hard being rejected and all that. But in the grand scheme of things, I want to let the listeners, know, there's way worse things that could have happened to me than be rejected by, and by my family or whatever. I know that that is a big thing for me, but also I want to say, like, a lot of people have way worse things happen to them. So for me, yes, it happened. I got rejected, but carry on. It's just life's lessons. I chose this. I made the choice. So I had to live and go through the universe's teachings, to get to where I am today. So that's what I want to say. Like, I don't feel like, even though when what I went through is nothing compared to some. So I want to just say that yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but to that, not but, and while that is true, there's a tool even in what you said, because that tool, so I don't want women to feel like they have to dismiss their struggles, because I don't think that's at all what you're saying. Like, those are painful things that you went through.
Yes.
And you have, as a tool, made a decision to you've decided what it means. And what it means is, there's things I can learn here. There's nuggets I can take here. I know I've seen that people are work. So I'm choosing to not awfulize. My mom used to use that term,
Yeah.
not awfulize it, not make it bigger than it
Right.
needs to be. So you, as one of your tools, Erin, and I've watched you do this, you decide what certain things mean, because you are a grown ass woman and you
Yeah.
have autonomy. So you get to control what goes on between your ears. That's what I tell
Yeah.
my listeners all the time. The one place nobody can control you is what goes on in between your ears. So one of your tools, I believe, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here, is you choose what something means.
Yeah. 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 I do. Yeah.
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 So let's say hypothetically you're going through a difficult situation, whether it's a financial struggle or maybe a breakdown in a friendship. I don't know. You can come up with something in your mind, and you wake up in the morning, and as we're all human, right? Sometimes we wake up in the morning and we wake up and we start to smile, and then kind of that dread creeps in, like, oh shit, I forgot about that thing that happened yesterday. Oh, it all comes back to us. Is there something you can tell our listeners that you do, shifts that you make, routines or rituals that you employ that help shift your mindset, or is that not even a struggle for you?
Well, things come up, but what's the worst case scenario? Like, am I going to die? Am I going to, so, when I lost my job, okay, what's the worst case scenario? I'm healthy. I have I have my integrity to myself. So, I mean, yeah, it's crappy to lose income and work at Amazon, but also there's blessings in my decision, in your choice that you make every day. So what are those
Mm,
lessons teaching you? So, what's I think you have to wake up and be grateful for the good every day, and be it comes from
mm,
gratitude, and it's like
there it is.
a nucleus, and it works out. So, like, I'm grateful I woke up today. Like Pitbull says, above ground, I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for my two cats and my dog. And it expands from there, whereby
Yes.
the rest of it doesn't matter. So if I lose my job or whatever, I've got the nucleus of what is really important, because losing your job, you can find another, or you know things that happen. It's unfortunate that things happen that are bad, but you know I I choose to see the lesson in it. Oh, like,
There it is.
if something happened, there's something better. Like, when
Mm-hmm.
I got divorced, well, but in the moment, as Tony says, life is always happening for you. And in the moment, you're like mad, like, no, it's not happening. It's happening to me. It's not happening for
Mm-hmm.
me. But then when you realize, when you're out of it, when you go through that pain, and look at the reasons of what this scenario, this situation is trying to help you, then you realize, like, I got divorced, and then I met my new husband, and he's even better than the last one. But in
Mm-hmm.
that moment when I thought, oh, I'm no good, I got rejected, and but then I was in the pain of it, but then from just waking up from the pain and go, wait a minute, I need to get better and learn the lessons of what's happening and take accountability. Like it wasn't just him that ended the marriage, it was also me. Like, how can
Mhm.
I become better so that this doesn't happen again? And when I'm in a relationship, how can I be better to the person so that it doesn't go down that track? And so,
Yeah.
things that happen to us, maybe it's the universe's way of aligning us on the path of where we're supposed to go. Because you know what? Just talking about getting rejected by my family or losing my job, I probably never would have met you because I wouldn't
Mm.
have, you
Aw.
know, you know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
why all of these things align in order to take us where we're supposed to be. And I all the friends that I lost, all of them, like that's okay because I wish them the best. And I don't mean, they made a decision too. And whether they decided not to talk to me, like that's okay. They're allowed to
Yeah.
do that. And I wish them the best, but also it opened up whatever cleared away for me fell away. Maybe it wasn't a relationship anyway. It was just fluffy. I don't know. But I
Well,
wish them
but
all the best.
okay. So the theme, Erin, and this is the theme that is so extraordinary in you, is you literally choose to spread more love and joy first to yourself and then to the world. It
Yeah.
comes down to choices. What do we choose to focus on? How do we choose to describe our circumstances? And how do we choose to show up in the world? And it seems to me that, I used to poo poo the whole like, oh, just have an attitude of gratitude. I'm like, but it's true. Poo
Yeah.
pooing the power of gratitude and appreciation for what is the fuel to creating a life that we truly love, a life of impact and contribution and joy and love, which is what you do every freaking day. And you're not perfect at it, but
No.
when you have a mission that is focused the way that it is in your life, you live a life, in my opinion, that is beautifully envious. Like, I look at you as a role model for positivity because I have a natural Eeyore tendency that I am continually working on. And I can make my own choices to spread more love and joy. I can make my choice what to focus on. And that's what I want our listeners to hear and see in your example.
Yeah, because we could complain, till the cows come home or whatever, but do you like it drains so much energy. When you don't you want to use that energy to have fun? Do
Right.
like and I like to like every day is a gift. So I want to fill each day to the fullest because I'm here. And when I die, like, life goes by so fast and I'm in, getting older and I want to make sure that I do everything that I want to do and live each day to the fullest because some people don't have that opportunity, they don't, and
Absolutely.
they would do anything to have your life. And those are the people that I live for. And that's why it's sad when I hear people complaining, like, really, like, okay, complain for 1 minute, but like
Yeah.
zip it, like,
Yeah.
that's enough now. You've got
Right.
legs. I love your coat. I love your purse. You're doing amazing. So get on with it already. Like, why are you stuck in that? But also as well, it becomes a habit. So I think for me, like doing it, I can snap out of it easier. Like when I go, oh God, like that Lucy's house. Oh, I
Mhm.
want that. But also, like you said, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. She
Right.
lost her husband, the love of her life. And so even though things, look so happy and perfect for everybody, everyone has things they're going through and lessons they're learning and going through
Right.
things internally themselves. So,
Absolutely. And again, every time you talk, it comes up for me. It's what we choose to focus on. What we
uh-huh.
choose to focus on is what we feel. And you're such a beautiful example of that. So I have one final question for you.
Yes,
And I
yes,
ask it of
yes.
all my guests. And I totally shamelessly ripped it off from Jen Hatmaker, one of my favorite podcasters. And it's a question that Barbara Brown Taylor, the poet, asks. And you can answer it any way you want. You can answer it frivolous, you can answer it serious, but just don't think, just answer. So
Okay.
as you sit here today, what is saving your life right now?
What is saving my life right now?
Yeah.
Fun. Fun.
There
Yay,
it
fun.
is. There it is. And there she is.
Yeah. What fun can I have today? Like, I'm going to Dubai tonight for my job. What fun can I do? What can I do there? How can I, what am I gonna get up to? And fun. And I'm gonna do a cold plunge, challenge myself this morning. I've got all these bathing suits. I'm gonna wear, color and just go and make everything fun. And
Oh my
put it
gosh.
put on music, have fun.
I love that.
The
Well, okay, family, I definitely didn't lie. This is an incredible
Thank
woman. She's a spirit you need to know.
you.
Erin, thank you for sharing your
Thank you
light.
so much, Christine. Wow,
Thank
thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your joy. Thank you for sharing your mission and being an example of what a beautiful focus really can create for a life. I love you dearly.
Yeah, love you too, Christine. Thank you so much.
How was that?
Oh my God, that was amazing. You are amazing at asking amazing questions.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Yeah. I
Thank
think you
you.
I
So, how was that? Isn't Erin just an absolute delight? Look, there are no perfect people out there. There are no perfect experiences. But what we do have is we have the ability to decide what things mean for us. We get to decide if life is happening to us or for us. And we get to find the gifts in things. And Erin Nunweiler is such a beautiful example of finding the gifts, realizing what's important, and living a life that is in alignment with and congruent with who she knows she is. I hope you were blessed by this episode. I know I certainly was. I would love it if you would share this episode with anybody that you think could benefit from somebody who spreads more love and joy as a way of life. Please do us a favor, hit review and give us a positive review wherever you listen to this podcast. And don't forget to join our Girl Out of Order Facebook community. February is going to be a beautiful month filled with all kinds of activities and positivity, and we want you to be a part of it. Have an amazing week, and just please don't forget, the world needs what only you can provide. So keep being a girl out of order, and I'll see you next time.